Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be tackling a text that sparked, I think you could say, endless debates and interpretations for millennia.
Oh, absolutely.
The creation account
Yeah.
in the book of Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably heard of the 7 days of creation.
Right.
But did you know that there's actually a second creation story,
Yeah.
kind of tucked away in Genesis chapter 2?
That's right.
That's a little more human-focused.
Yes.
And we'll be exploring both of those today. Unpacking everything from talking animals to that, infamous forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
And even diving into the complex relationship between man and woman
Interesting.
as presented in these ancient texts.
It's fascinating how these stories, while thousands of years old, still resonate with us today. They grapple with some of humanity's most fundamental questions.
Oh, for sure.
Where did we come from?
Right.
What's our purpose?
Yeah.
And what is our relationship to the divine?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with what's familiar. Genesis 1.1, 2.3.
Okay.
The 7-day creation story. It's like a cosmic symphony.
I like that.
Each day bringing forth a new element of creation. Light
Right.
sky, land, sea, vegetation, sun, moon, stars,
Yeah.
and finally all the living creatures, culminating with humanity.
What's really captivating is the poetic structure.
Yeah?
This repetition of, and God said, and it was so, and God saw that it was good.
Right.
It establishes a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat of creation. It emphasizes this intentionality,
Right.
order emerging from chaos,
Yeah.
and the inherent goodness of all that is made.
It's powerful. And then there are those details that make you pause and think, wait, what?
Oh, I know.
Like on day 1,
Yeah.
light appears before the sun and moon.
Right.
This isn't a scientific textbook, so what's going on here?
Right. It's a glimpse into the ancient understanding of the universe.
Yeah.
Vastly different from our modern scientific view.
Yep.
Light, in this context, might be seen as a primordial force.
Yep.
Something even more fundamental than the celestial bodies we know.
Wow.
It's a reminder that these texts operate on a symbolic and theological level,
Huh.
inviting us to consider deeper meanings.
Right. Okay. Speaking of ancient perspectives,
Yeah.
there's the firmament on day 2.
Yes.
This solid dome holding back water above the sky. It's hard to imagine now.
I know.
But this reflects a common ancient cosmology.
Right.
A universe structured differently than we understand it today.
It's a reminder to approach these texts with humility and an awareness of their historical context. Trying to impose a modern scientific lens
Right.
can miss the point entirely.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And then on day 6, we get to humanity,
Yes.
created last and given dominion over the earth.
Yeah,
This raises all sorts of questions about humanity's role.
definitely.
Are we meant to rule over nature or care for it?
Yeah.
What are the implications of this hierarchy?
That's a concept that continues to be debated and reinterpreted throughout history. Some see it as justification for exploiting nature,
Yeah,
while others emphasize the responsibility inherent in stewardship.
absolutely. So we have this grand, sweeping creation in 7 days. But then Genesis chapter 2 shifts gears,
Okay.
zooming in on a specific place and experience, the Garden of Eden.
This account feels more intimate,
Hmm.
focused on the human experience within creation. It's less about cosmic events and more about relationships between humanity and God,
Okay.
man and woman,
Yeah.
and humanity and the natural world.
Right. We meet Adam, formed from the dust of the ground.
Yes.
Not just any material, but the very substance of the earth, highlighting our connection to the natural world. It's almost as if God is a sculptor, shaping and breathing life into clay.
And then there's Eve,
Right.
created from Adam's rib, not his head to rule over him,
Right.
nor his foot to be beneath him,
Yeah.
but from his side,
Right.
suggesting a close connection, partnership, and equality.
Yeah. It's fascinating that God first creates animals
Right.
as potential companions for Adam.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like God is acknowledging that even in paradise, companionship is essential. But none of the animals quite fit the bill.
Right.
It speaks to the unique role of Eve,
Yeah.
created not just as a companion,
Mm-hmm.
but as an equal. A partner forms from Adam himself.
This act of creation sparks endless interpretations about the nature of gender, equality, and the intended relationship between men and women.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a passage that's been used to justify both patriarchal views
Right.
and arguments for equality.
And then there's the Garden of Eden itself, this idyllic paradise.
Yes.
A place of abundance and harmony. But nestled within is the tree of knowledge of good and evil,
Right.
along with the divine prohibition. This sets the stage for a test of obedience and free will. What are we to make of this test? Why was it necessary?
It raises questions about the nature of good and evil,
Hmm.
knowledge and ignorance, choice and consequence. It also points to the complexity of the human experience, the tension between our desire for knowledge and our need for boundaries.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's almost like with the Garden of Eden. The story sets up this paradox,
Right.
a perfect paradise.
Yeah.
Yet with this one, crucial restriction, makes you wonder, was it meant to be a test from the beginning?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or is that just how we've come to interpret it
Right.
over time?
It's a question that has puzzled theologians and scholars for centuries. Some see it as a test of obedience, a way for humanity to demonstrate their loyalty to God.
Oh, yeah.
Others view it as a necessary stage in human development, the inevitable move from innocence to experience.
Which makes me think about the concept of knowledge itself.
Yeah.
Eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil
Right.
didn't magically make Adam and Eve, geniuses.
Right.
So what kind of knowledge are we even talking about here?
That's a great question. It likely represents a kind of moral awareness, the ability to discern right from wrong, the consequences of one's actions. It's not just about facts and information, but about understanding the complexities of the world, the gray areas beyond simple innocence.
Okay. And that brings us to, some of the core themes woven through these creation accounts.
Right.
And we've touched on a few already, but what stands out to you as the most significant ideas?
Well, one that jumps out is the sovereignty of God.
Okay.
Throughout Genesis, God is depicted as the ultimate creator and ruler of the universe, bringing order out of chaos, speaking things into existence. It's a powerful affirmation of divine power and purpose.
Right. Alongside that power, there's this constant refrain of, and God saw that it was good. It's not just that creation happened, it's that it was intentionally good.
Right.
What do you make of that emphasis?
It speaks to the inherent goodness of creation itself.
Okay.
It challenges the notion of a world fundamentally flawed or evil. Even in the face of humanity's later transgressions, the text reminds us that creation, in its essence, is a divine blessing.
That emphasis on goodness makes me think about the idea of humanity being made in the image of God.
Yeah.
What are the implications of that concept? Does it mean we're mini-gods running around?
It's certainly not about physical resemblance. It's more about our capacity for reason, creativity, compassion, and moral judgment. These qualities reflect something of the divine nature within us.
That's a much more nuanced take than simply saying we have dominion because we look like God.
Yeah.
It suggests that our actions should reflect this divine image within us.
Exactly, and that ties directly to the concept of dominion,
Right.
which is often misunderstood. It's not a license to exploit creation, but rather a call to responsible stewardship.
Yeah.
We're tasked with caring for this good creation, ensuring it's flourishing.
Like those amazing botanical gardens where everything is carefully cultivated and preserved, it flips the script on dominion from a power grab to a sacred responsibility.
And speaking of rhythms and cycles,
Right.
there's the establishment of the Sabbath on the seventh day. God rests, not because of fatigue, but because it sets a pattern for creation. A rhythm of work and rest woven into the very fabric of existence.
That's a fascinating concept in a world that often glorifies busyness and productivity. It's like a built-in reminder that we need rest, not just for our physical well-being, but also for our spiritual and emotional health.
And it's not just about individual rest either. The Sabbath also has social implications. It's a time for community, for coming together and celebrating creation.
It's almost a countercultural idea.
Right.
In a world that's always on, the Sabbath is a radical act of stepping back, appreciating what is, and remembering that our worth isn't tied to what we produce.
It's a powerful message, especially for us today. It encourages us to re-examine our priorities, to find a balance between work and rest, and to appreciate the gifts of creation.
So we've got these incredibly rich and layered creation stories in Genesis.
We do.
But how do they speak to us today in a world so different from the one to which they were written?
That's the beauty of these texts, their enduring relevance. They offer profound insights into the human condition, regardless of the time period.
Could you give us an example of that?
Certainly. The story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, for example, can be seen as a timeless reflection on temptation, choice, and consequence.
It's like that inner struggle we all experience between what we know is right and what seems appealing in the moment.
Precisely. It highlights the complexities of human desire, our capacity for both good and bad choices, and the ripple effects of those choices.
And beyond the individual level, these creation accounts also remind us of our interconnectedness with the natural world. We aren't separate from creation, we're a part of it.
Absolutely. The text emphasizes that we're formed from the dust of the earth, intricately linked to the natural world, and this connection comes with responsibilities.
Right.
To care for the environment, to protect biodiversity, to ensure the sustainability of our planet for future generations.
It's almost like these stories are saying, hey, we're all in this together, humans and nature, interconnected and sharing this, amazing planet. And it makes, those environmental challenges we face today
Right.
feel even more, urgent.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really important takeaway. These ancient texts, they remind us that our actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the entire web of life.
Yeah, and it's not just about, doom and gloom either, right?
Yeah.
There's also this sense of wonder and awe that kind of permeates the creation accounts.
Oh, absolutely. Think about that moment on day 6 when God creates humanity. There's a sense of anticipation, of purpose, of something truly special happening. It's an invitation to appreciate the miracle of life itself.
It's like those nature documentaries that zoom in on a tiny seedling, pushing through the soil. It's this everyday occurrence, yet it's filled with so much potential and beauty. It makes you realize how extraordinary even the ordinary can be.
Precisely. And that sense of wonder connects back to the idea of humanity being made in the image of God. We're not just biological beings, we're creative, compassionate, capable of experiencing joy and love. We carry a spark of the divine within us.
And that spark, that potential, is both, inspiring and a bit daunting, isn't it? It's like we're given this incredible gift, this life, this planet, and it's up to us to figure out what to do with it.
That's the challenge and the beauty of the human experience. We have free will, the capacity to choose our path. Genesis reminds us that those choices matter, that they have consequences.
So where does all of this leave us? We've explored these two fascinating creation accounts in Genesis with their poetic language, rich symbolism, and profound insights. What's the, key takeaway for our listeners today?
Well, I think it's the invitation to engage with these stories on multiple levels. They're not just historical accounts or scientific explanations. They're narratives that grapple with the deepest questions of human existence.
It's like they're saying, don't just read this, wrestle with it. Ask questions, explore different interpretations, find what resonates with you.
Exactly. And in that process of wrestling and exploring, we might just discover something new about ourselves, about our world, and about our place in the grand scheme of things.
One thing that always sticks with me is the idea of humans as caretakers of creation, given dominion, but also responsibility. How does that idea resonate with you in the world today?
It's a concept that feels more urgent than ever. We're facing, unprecedented environmental challenges. And these ancient stories remind us that we're not just here to take from the earth, but to give back, to nurture and protect the delicate balance of life that sustains us all.
It's a powerful idea to carry with us as we navigate the complexities of the 21st century. It's a reminder that our actions have consequences, that we're part of something larger than ourselves, and that we have a responsibility to care for this incredible planet we call home.
And perhaps in rediscovering that sense of responsibility and interconnectedness, we might just find a path towards a more sustainable and harmonious future.
So there you have it, our deep dive into the creation accounts in Genesis. It's a text that continues to inspire, challenge, and provoke us thousands of years later. We hope this exploration has given you some food for thought, some new perspectives to consider, and maybe even a renewed sense of wonder about the world around us. Thanks for joining us on this journey.